Thanks for joining us. This is your signature show, and I am Vin Martin Obiora Ilo. Well, President Buhari made history a few days ago when he announced the change of Nigeria's Democracy Day from May 29th to June 12th. That date that Nigerians saw many years ago, what they call the fairest and freest election in Nigeria. That election was acclaimed to have been won by MKO Abiola. And in taking this decision, the president took us back memory lane and the significance of June 12th. He not only changed the Democracy Day celebration, but he also is going to confer Nigeria's highest honor on MKO Abiola posthumously. He will also honor other people. But that decision by the president has brought so many opinions, so many controversies about those that support it and those that think the president is doing the wrong thing. Well, that's not our call today. We are hitting the streets because we want to know what the ordinary Nigerians are saying, and that will be in a moment. But our main conversation today is a conversation we had a couple of weeks ago. But based on popular demand and requests by our viewers, we are bringing that discussion back today. It was our discussion on minimum wage. Is it something we need to do now? Are there challenges with it? Well, we are bringing back our discussants on that issue to throw more light on it. In case you missed it, well, this is your opportunity because a number of people want us to talk about it again. So don't go away. Let's hit the streets and see what Nigerians, the ordinary Nigerians, are saying about this decision by Mr. President and the honor done MKO Abiola and others who were involved in the struggle for democracy years back.
The signature show with Vin Martin Obiora Ilo, showing on AIT, Sundays, 2 p.m.
My take on the declaration of June 12th as a Democracy Day, I think it's a welcome idea, but the time it's coming, to me, my own opinion or perception is political. I don't see the declaration at this time as a welcome idea. I feel it's just political.
Concerning the June 12th Democracy Day, I think the president should just leave it on the May 29th that it was previously, because shifting a national day like that has been known generally by everybody. It's kind of sudden and it's not acceptable. Personally, I don't believe we need that. What we need right now is security. We need boosting of our economy. We don't need him changing dates of national events. And concerning the MKO Abiola's him conferring him with ex-president's title or GCFR title, it's not necessary. When this man won the presidency, he was assassinated. We don't know how he was killed. And today, after his death, they are conferring him the president of ex-president of Nigeria. And when this man won the presidency, he was the people's choice. The people loved him. And who knows, this country may have been in different direction had he ruled us. You understand? So I think that's like a medicine after death. I don't believe in that.
Concerning the June 12 I think is a welcome development, and for the success of democracy in our time is something that is necessary, and to further the development of this country, we need to embrace the real meaning of what democracy is. I think it's right time now that the democracy grow further by recognizing the people that really fought for it and make us to be where we are today.
It was the right decision, and it has been long overdue. You know, Chief MKO Abiola, he has fought and he died in the course of this struggle. His wife died, all his business suffered. So I think they're supposed to have even honored him before now. I don't know the reason why the past government, did not deem it fit to honor him. But now that the incumbent president have, looked into it and have given him the honor, it's a well-deserved honor. You can even attest to it from the National Assembly. All of them supported him, supported the honor, and they gave Mr. President kudos. That is a well-deserved honor. So, and that of Gani Fayemi too, is an activist. He stood for the rights of Nigerians, and he fought. He went to prison so many times. So many times. So if they give them honor, it's well-deserved honor, and they merit it.
Well, on the matter of the June 12th, I see it as a very not so good, because it's for the president to score a very cheap popularity this time around. He's been there over these years. Somebody wrote on the Facebook, why can't he reverse what happened in 1983 when he took over as Anti-Democracy Day? What's he going to say about that? Let's be fair. Let's be fair to ourselves. It didn't happen today. It was the same military who annulled the June 12th election. The questions, pertinent questions being asked now is, have they declared, what's his name, Abiola, the president, before forgiving him or before pardoning him? Have they declared him the president? There are so many questions to be answered on some of these issues. So Nigerians, we are becoming wiser. They should do the needful, do the right thing before things can follow up.
In regards to this June 12th announcement, I really don't buy into the idea, because I don't see the reason why it should be coming in now, just 1 year to the election. Why not in 3 years' time? Why not before now? And why not when it assumes office? So I think it's just a calculated attempt to win the minds of the Yorubas. So I don't really play into it. And for me, I'm really disappointed in some sections of Nigerians, because regarding this June 12th, I see our former president, Jonathan, doing the same exact thing in terms of renaming the then renaming UNILAG into the Moshood Abiola University. But people greeted it with uproar and then some riots. And then Buhari is doing the same thing, and people are clapping and clamoring. I don't think this is the development we need in Nigeria. It's not really what I'm expecting from this sort of a government.
June 12th, it's a memory day, and then with what came out today in the newspaper, I think with Buhari to reference that that should take place, I think is to be a very honor to their family, even as that, okay, they have recognized him as one of the president. But I wonder why the country will keep that result from that time till now, that they have not released that. INEC should not be hiding result. They should release the results so that it will actually let people know that this was a clean election, and that will promote INEC too.
those were ordinary Nigerians weighing in on President Buhari's decision to move Nigeria's Democracy Day from May 29 to June 12. Just yesterday, Saturday to be precise, the SASCON International School in Maitama, Abuja, held its science fair and pool party. Signature show was at the event. It was fun time for children on Saturday at SASCON International School, Maitama, Abuja, as the school held her science fair and pool party.
Solar system, we revolve around the sun. Join us to learn about the different planets. Now sing along and have some fun.
In a welcome address by the principal of the school, Jack Goetz, he harped on the giant strides humanity has made with technology and science and urged young people to embrace science as it enriches lives.
We are living in the scientific age. We are living in the age of technology. Even just looking at a football match on television, you can see how technology has advanced in the last 20 years. It is part of our life. It is inseparable from our daily life. Now we cannot live without this technology. It speeds up everything that we do. It enriches our lives. We in SASCON International School encourage this excitement that they have, this enthusiasm to learn more. The main reason is to celebrate our children's knowledge and their efforts.
The high point of the event was a science exhibition by the students, which featured physics, chemistry, and biology, with arts and crafts and home economics.
The system is powered by an electrical system rather than burning fossil fuels. Thus, it does not pollute the atmosphere because it does not release exhaust. Instead, it runs on a battery connected through an electrical system. Of course, this is only a module of such a system.
A common test for oxygen is that it reignites a glowing splint, which means it brings the fire back, as you can see. So that means our oxygen is present. So a common explanation for this is that oxygen supports combustion.
The skeleton is the framework of a body or an organism. And a man has 206 bones from the human skeleton. All we here know that this is a skull used to protect the bone. And this is the rib cage that we used to protect the heart, the lungs. And back here is the vertebral column. It helps a person to start straight. Without it, you can't survive.
The event, which had parents and other guests in attendance, also featured school tour, pool party, football, and indoor games. Signature Show spoke to students, teachers, and guests at the event.
Put together this event because we want to reach out to the world to know what's happening right here in SASCON. We believe in education. You know, a lot of people think that the standard of education in Nigeria is falling. That may be the tale. However, we want you to know that in SASCON we believe strongly in the future. We believe strongly in the lives of these young ones, and that's why we're giving them a hands-on experience.
An electrolytic cell. What I want people outside to know is this. You can make other means of electricity. It doesn't have to be from fossil fuels.
I'm particularly impressed with the different experiments the children put in place for the parents to see, and I think it's very good. I think the school should continue in this particular way, and I'm sure other schools will learn from it.
It was really fun and very educative. We've learned so many things from the students. My own child did a presentation on how to make cream, and it was fantastic. I tested over it, and I love the fragrance, and it has softened my hands immediately.
SASCON International School, which was founded in 2016, is a co-educational institution that inculcates good character, self-confidence, and integrity in children, and arming them with the educational foundation needed to succeed. You're still watching the Signature Show, and at this moment, let me welcome Valentine Ofia, a lawyer and public analyst, and Ariyodare Atoye, public commentator and a pro-democracy activist.
Thank you for having me.
As we look at this rising agitation for wage increases in the country, I mean, if you were watching TV, following the social media on May 1, almost everywhere people were talking about increasing salaries for civil servants. Of course, we know the history from 125 naira to 250 to all that. Let me start with you, Dari. Do you think an increase in the wages of workers in Nigeria will improve anything in their lives?
First, let me just admit that we have a crisis situation on our hands. Nigeria is in a deep mess. And if you look at it critically, you realize that one will wonder how, an average Nigerian worker has been surviving in this country, especially at the state level. For instance, at the federal level, we know that the salary has even been consistent. But at the state level, at the local government level, and I don't know how much they are even bargaining for that is even worth sustaining an average Nigerian worker. They normally talk about living wage. Currently, they're asking for, I think, about 56,000. I don't know if 66,000. And believe me sincerely, when you look at 66,000 minimum wage, it cannot still do anything to an average. What it will have been, it will still be better than 18,000 minimum wage. I think that they are only looking at it from that prism. That at least any sort of increase will still give them that leverage, that opportunity of at least spending more compared to the kind of a precarious situation they found themselves. So it's a tough one, but if we're going to look at the reality of the economic situation in the country, if we looked at the condition of an average Nigerian worker, you want to say even 100,000 minimum wage is still something that is still not too much for an average Nigerian worker, because when you look at the rate of the inflation in the country, look at the tragic situation in the country where you are more or less like a government of your own. As an average Nigerian, you have to provide your water, you provide your own life, you provide virtually everything. So 66 naira is still nothing to write home about. But again, if the government can grant that, which I know it's even practically difficult for them to do because Nigeria is in a deep shit, but it will be at least a starting point, at least for them to have something in addition to what they have to take on.
That leads to my question for Val. How do governments that can't pay 18,000, that are in arrears of 3 months, 4 months, how can they sustain 66,000? You know, because I don't know whether we are being realistic here.
What we have to ask ourselves is, have we done this before? And what was the outcome? I still remember the popular exercise that we tagged the Udoji Award, which was when we resorted to this same measure. We've been going around in circles. Each time we have an inflation spiral, the first thing we think about is increase wages. And then the inflation happens again, then increase wages. So at the end of the day, nothing in concrete terms is actually achieved. What is wrong with the country is simply this, that the government has so stifled the economy that people cannot engage in these profitable businesses and earn incomes. It almost seems as if the only source of income is simply dependence on the government. And that is why you now have a situation where everybody is asking, what can the government pay me? But I would like us to think outside the box. I would like us to think about what has happened in recent times. There was a time in this country where all aspects of the economy, everything was controlled by the government. From telecoms to power generation to rail to whatever you might need, to even broadcasting. At a time, some form of decentralization, disengagement by the government occurred. And we started having private people, private enterprise in these sectors of the economy. Relating it to the wages, what happened is that wages of people engaged in those sectors of the economy actually increased when they were employed by the private sector. And that is the way we should go. Liberalize the economy. Rather than think about increasing wages, let's think about removing the stranglehold of the government in any sector of the economy. And I'll give an example, a concrete example. I'm informed that in the Federal Capital Territory, people who want to engage in waste disposal business have to pay a licensing fee of over 1 million naira to the government. And this means that apply it to this same practice is replicated in almost all sectors of the economy. Therefore, before you can even start, be a risk taker, start business, employ people, pay them wages, you have already committed all your capital, so to say, to the government. And the unemployment rate continues to increase. And yet we continue with this practice of overtaxing people and killing new businesses. I think that is the reform that we need, not wage increase. NLC might think about that.
Larry, are you thinking in this same line? And what do I mean? Shouldn't we as a country be looking at how to make our systems work? You know, maybe through going back to manufacturing, like the government is saying, going back to agriculture, creating more jobs, making it possible for people to make more money. And like he insinuated, liberalizing, creating the conducive environment for business to thrive. And won't that help in people having a better a better life,
yes,
than just having more money that can buy much?
Yeah, I listened to him. I think it's a very wonderful idea. But again, one thing we have to get very clearly is that we have to balance it. The government has its own role to play. The private sector has its own also role to play. However, one thing that is actually still probably the trigger point, just like you observed, is that we have a collapse in virtually all sectors of this country. Therefore, there must be what we call a major reform. And that's why the arguments and those who have been agitating for restructuring, we need to listen to them. Restructuring is at the core of everything that we're talking about today. We need to restructure our nation for the system to work. The reason why we're in this mess is because Nigeria is not working. We have the federal government must work, the state government must work, and the local government must also work. And currently what we have is just a federal government that is only probably maybe has the capacity to borrow money, unlike the states. You know, some of them have actually reached almost their limit in terms of accessing money from private sector players, from the bank or financial institutions. So even the federal government now, it's going to be difficult for foreign financial institutions, the Bretton Woods, to probably maybe want to borrow the federal government money, because already IMF is already talking about our exposure to loans and debt. So it's a very difficult and a very, very, very tight situation for us. If we are going to do it, we need a whole lot of reforms. We need a whole lot of restructuring to do. We need to really sit down as a nation. Because if you look at it right, left, center, you know that we're in a serious deep mess. Right, left, center, everywhere you look at it. Unfortunately, when the public sector is not working, it also affects the private sector one way or the other. The reason why when Obasanjo came in when we start having some kind of advancement in the middle class, that was when we start having the big banks, you know, creating big jobs. People started resigning from government business because that's when young guys started handing 150,000, 200,000, you know, like what we're handling in government then. And, you know, it was booming such that, and that was a major policy of government that allowed businesses to thrive, you know, to restore confidence to the private sector. We need a government that can also restore that confidence. It's doable. For instance, look at the United States of American president. He continues to celebrate figures and statistics. Just yesterday, he said, look, we've shattered the 4% ratio of in terms of, I think, low unemployment rate. It's usually the 4% thing. I don't think it has decreased below 4% for several years, but now I think it's about 3 point something, and the man is celebrating. That is what we call leadership. You are constantly looking at the number of people you can take out of poverty, the number of people who are handling well, the number of people who are employed. These are indices for you to, not the inanities that we are celebrating in Nigeria as a leader, that maybe a president is using the car of a former president, celebrating. You know, it's quite annoying. It's quite painful for us as a nation when we see what's happening in the other climes. When you look at some short videos coming from Asia, coming from some of the, you will see innovations and the place of idea. And probably it's another thing that we also have to look at. The place of knowledge-driven economy. Let's liberalize our thinking. Let's liberalize the way we conduct businesses. Let governments allow the people who can do this job do it. They can do it while Nigerians doing well globally. Let's also apply that same situation to Nigeria. It is not difficult. It's not rocket science. What matters is for us to have the right leaders who are thinking on their feet and bringing the right. If it is working in other climes, it can work also in Nigeria. So we have no business, believe me sincerely, with the kind of unemployment we have in Nigeria. Like I said, if you look at the opportunity that's available in this country, you will know that with the right leadership, within a few years, Nigeria is supposed to be doing what we call job lottery, just like America is doing visa lottery. Job lottery for people. We have the land, we have that opportunities available for us to do all these things.
You want to comment?
I can. Is it not a big irony that in a country where there's no infrastructure, the roads are bad, Medicare, the quality is low, still need to improve. There is definitely no power supply. In summary, that there is so much to do. And in such a country, people are unemployed. In other words, there's so much to be done, and yet people are unemployed. That tells you that what the issue is has to be with the structure of government. The people responsible for licensing those who will undertake this task, probably they have presented conditions that are not favorable to anybody. And any reasonable entrepreneur who examines these conditions presented by the government elects not to undertake the task. And that gives rise to unemployment. And so government should look inwards, look at its own policies. But I think where we should start as a people, as a nation, is with the Constitution. We have 3 tiers of government. We have delineated separate functions, so to say, to these 3 tiers of government. But there's a problem. I think we have jumbled everything up. And I'll take one aspect, security. The governor of any state in Nigeria is not responsible for the security of his state. He does not employ, control in any way the men in the security sector, whether it's the police, army, or by whatever name agency so-called. There is no place on earth where businesses would be established in an insecure place. It is the very first thing investors want to know. How secure is the environment? And so when a governor engages, interfaces with investors, if he promises them that he can guarantee security, a basic examination of our constitution was immediately revealed that he has lied. He has no such powers to issue such guarantees. And that is part when I said we have jumbled everything up. When people discuss should we have state police or not, that is an economic question. It goes far beyond what people think it is. When you ask that, I'll tell you why. Take a state like Anambra State. Focus on the markets in that state, on Onitsha market, for instance. If there are incidents of insecurity in that market, and there is this general perception that it is not safe, a safe place to go, not only will that market die, because people would boycott it, will stop going there, but also the revenue of the government derived from that place. And so much will change. And so it behooves anybody who is the governor of Anambra State to ensure that within this market where there's so much economic activity going on, there's maximum security. And so when a governor says, I need state police, let's stop thinking about the political persecutions that occur. Yeah. Let's look at the economic aspect of this issue.
Implication will be on price increase, price of foodstuff, even hike in fuel, rent, and what have you. That is just the number one implication. They will not know. Their own understanding is that they've increased this wage, and the next thing is to increase their own goods, price control. If they should bring all those kind of things back, you understand? At least in a country like Nigeria, there should be a regulation on our goods, at least for some years, period of years. When the increase is being implemented, from that period till certain year, anything should not be increased. All the both the rent, everything, you know. So if that is being done, at least let the workers enjoy that percentage that has been implemented for some period of years before any increment. If our government can regulate these prices and control, it's good.
To me, it has always been the case, you understand? Whenever they increase salary, you understand, all other things will follow, you understand? So, but I don't really know, you understand, on my own assertion, you understand, the government should create a balance, you understand, so that even when they will increase the salary, you understand, there should be a kind of price control so that everything will balance.
If you look at the situation of the country now, everything is expensive. And the workers are working, their salary is not being increased. So it makes for the increment of salary to make things more easier for the Nigerian workers. But when you leave it at what it is today, it makes life more difficult. If you look now, they say 18,000 naira minimum wage. At the end of the month, you have to pay salary, you have to pay school fees, you have to pay house rent, you will have to provide health care and every other thing. By the time you deduct all these things from the 18,000 naira, what will be left? Nothing. So there is a need for Nigeria government to increase the minimum wage in order to make life more easier for the Nigerian people.
When the salary is increased, prices of goods in the market will start skyrocketing. That is a kind of inflation. Because already we are in inflation. right now. We're almost, things are almost getting to hyperinflation.
The truth is, if they increase the wages, it's a welcome idea. Let's be frank. Yes, because since fuel has been increased, there's increase in fuel. So automatically there should be increase in salary. Because most of the people that patronize us are civil servants. They don't have good money, they don't earn good money, they can't buy our product. I mean, that is why we are suffering even in our business today. That's the truth. Business is suffering. Since the insertion of this administration, business has been suffering because fuel has been increased, salary is not increased. So people are complaining. Some people, they want to buy a phone, for instance, they will tell you that, please, Oga, I will pay in installment. This is somebody who can come and buy 2, 3 before. But today the person will say he will pay in installment. Even that installment, the person will not pick his problem. And when you try to dive into the matter, why, what happened, you discover that truly there is no money. You know, so this it's an open thing. I think it's a work, as far as I'm concerned, it's a welcome development. They should increase it.
It's a welcome development. In fact, it's long overdue. Looking at the economic implications, looking at the cost of living, the 18,000 minimum wage is nothing to write home about. It should be increased drastically. In fact, when we are not also undermining the fact that when there is increase in wages, there will also be increase in service goods and services. But notwithstanding, the income that will be accrued to the civil servant now will enable the civil servant to do whatever, at least meet most of his needs. Look at it, you pay the civil servant, he cannot pay his children's school fees, he cannot do anything, house rent, but with the minimum wage they are trying to increase, it will enable the civil servant to cater for these daily and essential needs. And also, the private sector should also key into that, in as let it not be only in the public aspect of it. Let the private sector also key in to that wage increment, and you will see that when it revolves around the society, it's going to be good for everybody.
So in other words, like Dare said, whether this increase will make any meaning to the workers, we need to restructure. According to you, we need to reform a lot of things. Look at our laws and all that.
Absolutely.
Okay, but let's look at what agriculture can do in making sense of all this. How can, I mean, this government has continued to talk about agriculture. Do we think that they are doing enough to put cheap food on the table of Nigerians so that when they get this 66,000 and they go to the market, they can come home with a lot?
Do you know what agriculture is in 21st century? I think is one of the most advanced fields in human endeavor. Agriculture is not hoe and cutlass. Agriculture encompasses every knowledge so far gained. The space technology will be involved because you have to predict the weather and so on and so forth, monitor a lot of things. Aeronautical technology will be involved, pest control and so much. You have to think about storage of the products. You have to think about, if you don't even have a reliable transport system, don't discuss agriculture. Not only will those products from the farm be transported and distributed far and wide, it has to be a reliable system.
Gentlemen, you're making it look like a basket case.
Why I'm mentioning this is simple. One of the easiest things you can do is what we have been doing all through the decades. Extraction industry, extracting oil and selling. Just extract the crude and sell it. That's all it takes.
Without refining. Not even get maximum value.
Yes, and sell. Agriculture is much more complicated than that. And if we failed at the basic endeavor of just extraction, I always laugh when I hear government people talk about go back to agriculture. I don't think they understand what is involved in that.
That you think we're not ready? We're not. We can't make maximum.
Yeah, I won't say we're not ready, but I would say probably we don't have the right kind of a leadership that has that thinking. As a nation, when I see what some Nigerians have done, the kind of you need to go to schools, you need to go and read research.
So much science.
Yes, that people have done. I mean, people in the field of agriculture, it will amaze you what the kind of discoveries you're going to find. I mean, you find from those people that have just been put in one place, in one corner, in some of these universities, lying fallow, and it's because we are not interrogating those things. Usually, knowledge is very central to development in the 21st century. I saw a video this morning of people, I think in one of the countries in Asia, using duck to what do you call it, to remove pests from rice farming. That instead of using chemical, that you can actually send them into it, the one that are not that fat, for them to go in and help you to remove some of these things. And that's the level at which technology has advanced.
Farm without soil.
Absolutely. Now let me quickly remind you. See, we are so blessed as a nation. We have examples to learn from. If you look at the Scandinavian countries, they don't really have the land. And what they've succeeded in doing is to apply technology to smallholding farming, the subsistence farming we're talking about here. Now, they've just applied technology to it, and people are doing fine. Do you know that what we are killing ourselves, that thousands of Nigerians have been killed in terms of this animal breeding, cow breeding, is what a country like Netherlands is making almost about $100 billion. Netherlands is surviving on vegetable and milk, dairy products. And they're making about $100 billion or more from just those two things. Now look at the abundance of opportunities that's available to Nigeria. I don't think we get $100 billion from oil in a year. I don't think so. And it means that as a nation, we can be the richest nation on earth. Because when you look at what's happening in America, look at what's happening in Netherlands, you look at what's happening in some of these countries. Now, we are talking about just a single line, like the cow business that we're talking about, that they've used to destroy people in the middle belt, different part of the country. These are things that we can explore as a nation. These are things that if we situate it properly and we apply knowledge to it, Nigeria is going to gain maximum. There is no, and we are so climatically blessed. The climate in every part of this country is very fine that we can almost farm 365 days of the year. We can farm 365 days, and with the current application of technology that you can even farm on a very small scale and have high yields. You need to sit down and look at what we call the technological breakthrough that is going on around the world. You will know that we really have to have a rethink. So believe me sincerely, the diversification, when they talk about agricultural diversification, that they are diversifying and are celebrating rice, it's quite unfortunate. You see, one thing that's also very central is, what about the people that you need to empower in the process of agricultural production? For instance, we've forgotten that some of those families, middle belt is the food basket of the nation. People have been displaced. They continue to put rice into our highs in Nigeria, that we are doing well in rice. What about those families that depends on agriculture? Now, a lot of families have been dislocated. Thousands of Nigerians have been dislocated, and these people can no longer produce. So it means that anything we're doing is almost back to zero. That we're in a very serious, and I hope that the recent comments, the recent visit of the president to the United States of America is not a minus for us, because we didn't make any appreciable gain in terms of our talk with the United States when it comes to agriculture. It was even the president of America, Donald Trump, that was even trying to open another market into Nigeria. So I don't know. It's quite unfortunate, really.
Gentlemen, let's conclude. Is this increase, like it has been, will it continue to be a ritual that comes up almost every other year? Or is there a possibility that we may deal with the real problem of improving the lives of Nigerians, the quality of life, and the quality of what Nigerian money can buy?
You can look at the education sector and ask yourself, in the past 10 years, has there been any year where the Union of Lecturers, that's ASU, did not embark on strike? You can look at the medical sector. and ask yourself the same question. And you can safely conclude that this is a recurring ritual, like you call it.
So what do we do? How do we get out of it? In one word.
In one word, we have to be innovative and look at the root cause of the problem, which is not, I repeat, which is not the purchasing power of the currency, but rather the dysfunctional government.
I think to start with, I think we need to declare emergency in labor. And it's a fundamental, we have to do that as a nation. And the stakeholders in the labor sector, the unions, all of them have to come together, just like he said, have an issue that the solution is not continuous increase in salaries, is finding solution to the fundamentals, the basis. So if we can do that, declare emergency in labor, declare emergency all over, even all over the country, and let us have a new beginning in terms of discussing the future of this country.
Let me ask finally, labor is the crying baby here, the workers, and we're talking about leadership. Can they use their PVC?
Let me just.
Okay.
Let me just.
When you say can they use their PVC, you also have to ponder whatever malaise, whatever disease has affected all other sectors of our national life. Is the electoral sector immune from that?
Let me just say this. It's quite unfortunate that the most ideologically based party in Nigeria today is the Labour Party, and it's a party of the Labour Union, which they have not succeeded.
That they don't belong to.
We have not succeeded in grooming. So the Labour is also a problem unto itself, because they don't understand that even when you look at it historically, you know that Labour has to organize themselves to take power in any nation. The Nigerian Labour Congress has not probably put on a thinking cap to strategically understand that they have to get Aso Rock for themselves to be able to get certain things done in their own interest. That's the way it is done all over the world. And as long as they cannot do that, believe me sincerely, they continue to experience this problem year in out. 2019 is there for them. It's not too late for them to take a stand. They are the biggest sector in Nigeria in terms of determining who becomes Nigerian president, and they can do that.
Valentine Offier, lawyer and public analyst, thanks for coming.
Thanks a lot.
I read your diary, Atoye, public commentator and pro-democracy activist. Thanks for coming too.
Thank you very much.
And we'll take a break. When we return, the show continues.
Are you 18 years and above? Have you registered with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC? Do you have your permanent voter card, PVC? If your answer is yes, what about your family members, your friends, your colleagues, and your neighbors? Remember, your vote can guarantee a better future for Nigeria and Nigerians. Your vote can make all the difference. Your vote is your power. Don't sit on the fence. Be an active citizen. This is a signature show contribution to better citizen participation in governance.
Our discussion on minimum wage. Well, our viewers also asked us to bring the labor leaders to be part of the discussion. We're working on that. As soon as we're able to have them in the studio, we'll be bringing that to you. And that's where we are drawing the curtain on today's edition of the program. Don't forget, you can reach us on our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, WhatsApp, email. Just keep writing. Don't stop writing. Tell us what you want. Tell us what you think we are doing wrong. Tell us what you'd like to see. Tell us who you'd like to hear on the Signature Show. And until next week, I am Vin Martin Obiora Ilo from the Signature Studios in Abuja, thanking you for watching and asking you to keep a date, same time next week.